So, the Apple Watch Ultra 2, is it really a sport watch? Let's do this. Okay, before we go further, I know I will receive a lot of comment of people saying that I'm too hard on Apple and that I'm just a Garmin fanboy. So just be advised that I use Apple device since way before it became popular. I got my first Mac before they released their first iPhone, and I'm not a Garmin fanboy, and I don't have any professional relationship with Garmin neither. In fact, they don't even reply to my emails. Well, technically, I'm a really tiny shareholder of the company, which is also the case of Apple. I just think that Garmin produced the best sport watch right now, but if I ever find something better, I will be more than happy to switch just like I did a few years ago from Sunto to Garmin. And yes, I will compare the Apple Watch Ultra 2 to my Garmin Andro 2 because this is exactly what I'm looking for and I think it's relevant to compare them. And don't get me wrong, I don't say that the Apple Watch Ultra 2 is just a piece of crap. I think the main problem of this watch is the fact that Apple sell it as a sport watch for people that do big adventure, and obviously this is not such a device. I think this is just a smartwatch designed for people who would like to take their call on the watch, see their message text getting in at the wrist, and being able to leave home without your phone and still being reachable thanks to your watch. I think it's a great device for people that just do some sport activity from time to time and want to monitor their days and night. It's good for people that seek motivation to move and want a high-end gadget at their wrist. The thing is, and I don't judge you if this is what you're looking for, but I absolutely don't care about those kind of things. I just want a sport watch, a navigation tool, in which I can trust with my life to guide me in my activity. I'm not even the kind of guy that they present in the video that do very extreme things. But still, I did some not so small solo bike trips, climbed some kinda high mountain, and last year I even pushed myself to complete a 24-hour bike ride challenge in which I managed to ride 435 kilometers in a single day. Finally, maybe I'm a bit the kind of guy that they aim in their advertising. So, I put the Apple Watch Ultra 2 to the test. And it was probably the worst sport watch I tested so far. Of course, I had expectation that I would not like it. But I did all my tests with an open mind and I try as hard as possible to remain objective and positive. But after 5 days, I had more than enough and I give it up. So, here is why I think that the Apple Watch Ultra 2 is the worst sport watch I tested so far. Obviously, the main reason is the battery. It's less worse than I expected as I managed to take it up to 48 hours, but as it's very short on the second day, you end up charging it every day. I do on average 2 hours of activity every day, mostly with GPS, and I managed to recharge my Garmin Andro 2 once every around 2 weeks. While testing the Apple Watch, I was still wearing my Garmin. When the test began, my Garmin was around 55%. 5 days later, I had to charge the Apple Watch 4 times, and this one only dropped down to 32%, which is 23% lower. Not even a quarter. While this one, I had to charge it 4 times. And it's not just a question of getting used to charge the watch. When I'm on expedition, I don't have the luxury of being able to recharge my watch every day. And I don't even want to have to think about it. And I calculated. On GPS mode, the battery should last somewhere around 11 hours if the battery is full charge. That's not even enough for some of my activity, even with a full battery. And for the rest, even if I'm okay for the day, If I'm stuck somewhere, I don't want to stress out because I'm about to run out of battery on my navigation tool. So that just don't make it. Yes, I know you can download some app, you can use it as a cell phone, you can do so many things that will drain the battery more quickly. But there is somewhere that they could have saved some battery. The screen. They use an OLED screen. Of course, it's beautiful to look at. And yes, it's great with that 3000 nits, you can see it so well under the sunlight. But an MIP screen, even though it looks less nice, drain next to nothing in terms of energy and looks so great under sunlight. Personally, I don't want anything else on a sport watch than an MIP screen. It may not look as great as an OLED screen, but it comes with so many advantages. If you want to learn more about those technologies, take a look at the video on the upper right corner. Speaking about the screen, let's talk about the touchscreen. Okay, touchscreens are great. They can help you to achieve some things faster, they are easy to use and intuitive. But when we talk about a sport watch, the use of a touchscreen should always be optional. You don't want to play with a touchscreen while you're running or riding. And rain bring you down to a terrible situation as wet touchscreen work not so much. And I'm not even talking about swimming. Actually, they fully disable the touchscreen by default when you start a water sport. Not so practical. I can't believe that this is the best option they managed to find. A sport watch needs to be fully controllable with buttons. A crown is not so bad, but nothing is a better input than buttons. They don't have any trouble with water, movement and activity. You can set up multiple shortcuts on it, they are customizable, you can do operation on your watch even without looking at it, and it's by far the best input method in winter when you have big gloves. Because seriously, if you want to try to play with a touchscreen with that, forget it. If a watch have a touchscreen, you should have an option to disable it and still be able to fully operate it. Actually, when I said they disable the touchscreen when starting a swimming activity, I forgot to say that then there are not so many things that you can do on the watch as there is no other control input. There is the crown that can use to scroll, but you can't select anything with it. A good sport watch should be designed to be fully controllable with buttons. Then you have the touchscreen that will let you accelerate some features that you can already do with buttons. Let's talk about one other very important point. A sport watch should always be independent. By that, I mean that you should be able to use the watch without the need of another device like a computer or a phone. Actually, at the very moment you start up your Apple Watch for the first time, you realize how much it is dependent to something. You cannot even start up your brand new Apple Watch and take a look at the time if you don't have something very specific. Not only you need a phone, but this phone needs to be an iPhone. And that's not it. That iPhone must support the very last iOS firmware. If you have an Android phone or an iPhone that is not able to update to the latest version, you are stuck with a very expensive watch that is not even able to display time. So this means that in some situation, I need to carry my phone with me to use my Apple Watch. Want an example? Let's move to the next point. Navigation. That was one of the most terrible experiences in navigation I had from any electronic device with a map. At first, I did not find the app on my Apple Watch. I then realized that it was not available on my watch because I deleted Apple Map on my iPhone as I just ate that Apple Map. But for the sake of the test, I reinstalled Apple Map on my iPhone. All that to find an Apple Map app on my watch that was not even working. It was not even able to locate me on the map while it was tracking my position and my activity. That's weird. and a map that is not even loading correctly. I later realized that not only my watch was dependent to my phone, but it's also dependent of its internet connection. The problem is that I don't pay to have internet on my cell phone. I just don't see the point of spending $500 on an internet connection for my phone while I can invest it instead. But the watch needs that connection from the phone to eventually get the data of the map. Fortunately, when I'm on the Wi-Fi, I can select a part of the map and download it to my iPhone so I can have access to it when I'm offline. So make sure you do that when you go off the grid with an Apple Watch. On this level, I have a fully different experience with my Garmin watch. On my Android 2, straight out of the box, I've got a topographic map with trails, road, streets, highways, ski trails, bike trails, fork trails, restaurant, hospital, lodging, and so much more for the whole continent. And it's right there, physically inside the watch. And if I travel somewhere else, yes, it will take few hours, but you will be able to download another continent for free in your watch. And the watch can download all of those maps by itself on the Wi-Fi. And not only that, the worst was that still the Apple Watch was not able to locate me on the map. But even though if it was working well, the trails in the mountain and the parks around me are not even in the map. And that's what I expected, because mostly Apple Map is produced for cars. And that's not even it. Every time I reach the map screen while being in an activity and I drop my arm, I swap back to the activity page. Can you please stay on the map? Oh. And the map is just an external app. It's not an activity page. So you don't have any breadcrumb to help you track back to your starting point. I did not test it as I discovered that feature while I was writing that video, but I did find that you can have a breadcrumb inside the Compass app. Okay, so let's forget for a moment that the app is not working so great. If we are about to start a hike on the side of a mountain, for example, I would need to start my activity in app number 1, then open the second app for the map, then a third app to record my breadcrumb so I can come back on my feet if I ever get lost. But the breadcrumb would only be available on an empty field while the watch does have a map. That's just a bunch of nonsense. Speaking of nonsense, the heart rate sensor. First of all, there is something I really don't understand. The opening video of the last Apple event was all about people that can celebrate their anniversary 1 more year thanks to Apple. Some of them because their watch alert them that their heart was acting weirdly and suggests to call an ambulance. That's probably true, but I think they are kinda lucky because the Apple Watch Ultra 2 does not monitor your heart rate continually. That green light that you see behind your watch only do a check of your heart rate from time to time. If you see a heart on your watch, you need to click it and wait a few seconds before seeing a result. If you set the heart rate graph on your watch face, you will have the graph of the reading of your day. But that's not even working, as most of the time it only shows up the last 2 hours, even if you wear it all day, the reading is not so clear neither. I don't understand those lines. But still, here, if you don't have a live heart rate, it shows you the last result from X minute ago. For example, the other day I was pumping my bike tire, and when I've done, I was curious to know what was my heart rate because it seems it was pumping really hard. And turns out that the only thing it was able to tell me is that my heart rate was at, I don't know, maybe 62 beats per minute 45 minutes ago. I even saw a result from more than 1 hour ago. And even more stupid, when you are doing a sport activity, at least it does check your heart rate continuously, but only on the activity page. If you go back to the watch face while you are still doing your activity and that the heart rate is still working, the watch will still tell you your heart rate of X minute ago. So the native habits directly built in the watch when you take it out of the box for the first time are not even able to talk between each other. On my Garmin watch, I'm able to track my heart rate for every single seconds, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for over a month without charging it. And the best part is that at any moment, if I want to have my heart rate, I just have to check it like that and I got the information. Then let's talk about trust. I use sport watches since 2013. Since then, from all the watch I tested, only 3 activities were lost or stopped by accident. The first one was in 2014 with my good old Sunto MB2 while I was doing Japan by bicycle. And the second and third activity that I lost was the first and second I ever recorded on an Apple Watch. The first one because I tried to start Strava while I was recording with the main activity app. It seems it did not like it. And the last one was because I did stop walking, so the touchscreen broadcast me an option and I accidentally touched the touchscreen and it stopped my activity. Clearly, this is not the kind of device that I want to rely on when I adventure myself in the middle of nowhere, far away from home or on a mountain. And now, let's talk about flashlight. And even though it's very impressive for a screen flashlight, it's not even comparable to what I have with my Enduro 2. And don't get me wrong, the Apple Watch Ultra 2 have the best screen flashlight of any watch on the market. I did a mountain at night and it was great. I was able to see the trail in front of me and it light up quite wide, so I was even able to see the side of the trail. I compared it and it light up somewhere between the level 1 and 2 of my Garmin. Much stronger than that, but not as strong as this one. But my Garmin can light up to level 3 and 4. So that's a huge difference. But while using the flashlight on the Apple Watch, the battery drains a lot faster than it's already is when it's not using the flashlight. With my Garmin watch, I can keep a reasonable level of light for all night, no problem. And even more important, Garmin always tell me how much time I have left for every configuration of GPS, light, backlight, music, or anything. Maybe you think I'm crazy to do such a point on a flashlight, but trust me, you don't understand how it is handful until you have one on your wrist. I use that feature at least once a day, and when I test a watch that don't have it, I would say that it's the feature that I miss the most. I use it when I'm on a trail at night and it's too dark, when I forget the backlight of my bike and I want a flashing light to be visible to cars, when I'm looking for something in a tool pouch, when I go in the basement of somebody and I just don't find the light switch, when I'm sleeping at a friend's place and I want to go to the bathroom at night and I don't want to light up the ceiling light and wake up everybody, when I'm walking in the wood at night and I hear an animal very close to me and I just want to quickly light it up to scare it and see it, the Apple Watch screen flashlight might be good to light you up on a trail when it's pitch black, but as soon as you have another little source of light, it becomes just useless. Plus, as it uses the screen to produce light, you won't be able to use your watch at the same time. Other than that, I don't like how limited you are with the data fields in an activity. The choice of data is very limited, and I really don't like the fact that you cannot change the disposition, if you want a bigger data, for example. I think the lack of a return button is huge. Sometimes when you want to go back, you need to press on OK on the upper right corner, or other time you need to press on the arrow on the upper left corner, and sometimes you need to press on OK at the bottom, and sometimes you need to find the done or cancel button. It's never the same thing. A back button is always at the same place and you can always use it. Now it's just confusing. I would also like to have an alarm that can vibrate on your wrist instead of just ringing. I tested to make a call with it and the sound quality was not so good, let's say terrible. I did pick my phone quite quickly because it was terrible. I was expecting from Apple to have something better than Garmin with the Venue 3, but it's not the case. Even on that point, Garmin did manage to do something way better. And I'm quite shocked because Apple, I'm always surprised with their sound quality on their laptop with such tiny speaker. But the call quality here, that was just terrible. I'm not saying that the Garmin Venue 3 is a better smartwatch than the Apple Watch Ultra. I'm just saying that the sound quality was outstanding compared to the Apple Watch. The weather app is very complete, but not efficient at all. There's a lot of details and prediction, but you need to navigate a lot on the watch to get the info. I may have less precise information with Garmin, but I can find all I really need on very few pages. And I just discovered that they have had a weather radar. That's huge. I did install some recommended app on the App Store, like Skyview, but it was crashing every time I opened it. Maybe it was just a loud trouble, because I tried it again today and let's say that it was less unstable. I would really like to have a charge estimate instead of battery percentage. That way I would have a better idea if I'm able to do my next activity, if I have enough battery to do it, or should I charge it before or put it in low power mode. The info I have at the end of an activity is very minimal. I would like to have more. For example, I can have my elevation gain, but not my elevation descent. Not that bad if I make a loop, but if I'm in an itinerary that I finish somewhere else, well, not able to know how much I have descent. Speaking of elevation, it doesn't seem that it takes falls flat in consideration. The elevation gain of my Apple Watch follow my Garmin elevation gain when I'm on a hike, on the mountain. But the other day I did a 116 kilometers ride on falls flat and the Apple Watch finished with half of the elevation gain of the Enduro 2. That's weird. There is something very annoying on the watch when you play something on your phone. For example, if I play a YouTube short, it transforms the watch automatically in a remote control where I can pause and skip the media on the phone. But if I hit pause or skip, it doesn't skip anything on the YouTube short. That would probably be useful if do that when I'm using Spotify. But it didn't. Anyway, that feature is now disabled on this watch. Fortunately, you can do it. That was really annoying. If you want to update your watch, the battery must be at 50% or more and need to be connected to the wall. I was just surprised that I was not able to do the update with the watch on my wrist while it was at 95%. Seriously. My Garmin watch do all its update while I'm sleeping and I don't even realize it. I did not monitor my sleep with the Apple Watch because it seems I have to set a schedule for this. And that schedule, when you're not sleeping, turn your watch in an even more useless device. You need to touch the screen to see the time, and if you want to have more than the clock, you have to hold the crown until it unlocks. Then, if you drop your arm for a single second, you have to hold it again to unlock it again. Garmin have something similar with their AMOLED watches, but it's way less worse. The idea is that AMOLED or OLED screen produce light to display something. So when you go to sleep, you don't want to have those lights on, but the automatic red light in darkness of the Apple Watch Ultra 2 is just so good that you don't really need the schedule to have something less bright or to touch it. You can sleep with that red light turned on all night. It's perfect. It barely produces light. I also don't like the fact that you buy a very expensive product that feel to be incomplete, but you can solve that by purchasing some app. I don't like the fact that you need to spend more money after buying such an expensive device. I mean, it's great that you have the option, but at this price, you shouldn't have to pay more money to get some of the features. So, is there something positive about this watch? Probably. As I said, it's a terrible sport watch. But if somebody wants a smartwatch, I guess you may have something great with it. I only guess because I'm really not the aim target of such a device. The keyboard on the screen works surprisingly well for something this small. But I will never answer a text message with this as I have my phone in my pocket. You can also pay with your watch, which is super great. But still, I have my phone in my pocket, so it's not quicker to pay with the watch or the phone. The decibel detector is a very interesting feature. Not something I would use every day, but I care about my ear, so yes, I would like to have these features on my everyday watch. The Siren in case of emergency is also great to have. Turns out I'm able to hear it if I deposit the watch at the end of my loft, get out of my loft, go at the end of the corridor. I'm still able to hear it very well from there. Then I continue in the corridor and turn right, which is another building. It's still the same open space, but it's in another building. And then going at the end of another corridor, which make me very far away, and I'm still able to hear the siren. Not so hard, really subtle, but still I'm able to hear it very far away, so that's very surprising. I also think that the ring system is very well done. Maybe the animation you got when you close one of your ring is a bit intense, but still, it's visually interesting to follow your daily objective. Basically, you have 3 rings, one for calories, one for step, and one for standing up time. They are all displayed in the same ring system with beautiful colors, so it's easy to follow. The watch is carbon neutral. This means that they only use clean energy for manufacturing, 30% recycled or renewable material, and 50% of shipping without the use of air transportation. The company will also use carbon credit to address the small amount of remaining emission, resulting in a carbon neutral product footprint. The quality of the watch is fantastic. I don't really like the look of the watch as I prefer classic watch, but there is nothing to say against the build quality itself. So that's pretty much it for the Apple Watch Ultra 2. Is it for you? Are you looking for a serious watch for your sport activity? Yes? Don't buy it. A smartwatch? Maybe. But I won't tell you yes, because that's just not my type of things. And I did not test the watch as a smartwatch. I tested it as a sport watch. The main problem of this watch is that it tried to be something that it's not. I can already see people in the comment telling me that, oh, for this problem you can have this solution, or for this problem you can do this or that. And that's my point. I'm not looking for a device that I will have to adapt myself to it, while I can have a device that adapts itself to my needs. I'm pretty sure that this watch would never have reached that level of popularity if there was no Apple on it. It's not only that I'm not seeing the use of it, I had so many trouble with it. But in the end, only you know what you're truly looking for. So, do what you want to do with that information, and I'll see you in another video. Speaking of other video, you should take a look at my guide to help you choose your next sport watch. Alright, take care and see ya!